So as the Uscom AGM is complete, welcome to the presentation and update. There will be a questions and comments session at the end of our presentation. So if you have any questions or comments, please raise your hand following the presentation in the Q&A section. Uscom is a great company. It's got great vision, technology and culture, and it's addressing a great global opportunity. The Uscom mission is to create innovative science and develop non-invasive devices to improve patient outcomes and improve patient care, healthcare worldwide. In FY22, our global team have developed new products and markets, grown global operations, partnered with world leaders, advanced clinical science, written new IP, and advanced global trade, while remaining focused on commercial opportunity and growth strategies. Uscom has invested in the future at a time when the future is uncertain. Our confidence in our technologies, our people, and our strategy is reflected in the outcomes of FY22 and the prospects for FY23. And at the close of FY22, Uscom has never been in a better position. And it's been a global team of Uscom who've implemented this mission in the most difficult of times. And to each of them, and on behalf of management and shareholders, I thank you all. To our board, Mr. Christian Bernicker, Mr. Brett Crowley, and Mr. Meng Xianghui, thanks for your guidance, contribution, and generous support. Of course, I'd also like to thank our Uscom investors for their support and confidence during a difficult and volatile year as we create a great international medical technology company. It is this collaboration of ideas, people, and capital that's fundamental to creating the building blocks of the successful global company we are building. Medical technology provides a critical contribution to global health, translating innovative science into devices, therapies, and techniques to improve quality and duration of life. And Uscom is a world-leading medical technology company with multiple devices and a constellation of valuable IP. Uscom is at an inflection point, having recently partnered with Foxconn to provide manufacturing of scale to deliver an expanding suite of devices to global markets. And it's focused on strategic discussions to deliver incremental growth opportunities to shareholders. So again, as we approach 2023, Uscom has never been in a better position. Uscom is an ASX-listed company, creating premium cardiovascular and pulmonary digital medical technologies, expanding into global markets. Financial results have been challenged globally, yet we have strong revenues, we have cash in the bank, and we remain debt-free and are well positioned for future growth. Our products are valued manufacturing partnership with the world's largest precision electronic manufacturer as we seek to grow scale and pursue global opportunity. As we develop hubs for regional distribution, which are conceived as platforms for sales growth, as we introduce our new products to market. Uscom's now as they are fed into the market. Uscom is an established scientific leader with in excess of 600 peer-reviewed publications and 200 discrete worldwide intellectual property submissions. These achievements have all contributed to Uscom's growth and growing international reputation as a leading medical technology business and consolidates Uscom's global growth bona fides. Financial 22 results in all jurisdictions were challenged by the pandemic, the Russian war, recession fears, and Chinese domestic manufacturing regulations. Yet we've preserved our strong 10-year growth trend. Global receipts were down in response to a 55% sales drop in China due to one-off changes in regulation. However, these challenges have already been addressed during the year with the Foxconn partnership and the appointment of new and larger distributors. And as the China COVID-0 policy unwinds, we are confident we will see Chinese sales rebounding strongly in the coming year, restoring revenue and growth to our lead market. The remaining markets, while not overperforming during the year, were not substantially impaired despite global headwinds. Regionally, Asia remains our largest market, contributing 48% of total sales, followed by Europe, Southeast Asia, US, and Australia. The manufacturing in China 25 drive and the COVID-0 disruptions were responsible for the financial contraction for FY22, which has already been addressed with the Foxconn initiatives and increase in Chinese distribution. An energised focus on Southeast Asia, Europe, and the US markets during FY22 is also expected to augment global sales in 2023. Uscom technologies include cardiac, vascular, and pulmonary devices and address medical conditions responsible for 75% of all global mortality. And they have market values of multiple billions with high projected growth rates. These large and critical markets underwrite Uscom's future revenues, while new device approvals in new markets will incrementally grow growth. All Uscom devices have high margins, ensuring increasing sales rapidly convert to profitability. Spirosonic Air is the first of a new generation of spirometers with advanced digital multipath ultrasonic technology, providing precise and non-invasive measurements of lung function. The Air wirelessly connects patients and clinicians by the Spirosonic Air cycle, communicating data, information, diagnoses, reports, and prescriptions freely, and creating multiple revenue opportunities. The wireless Spirosonic Air is ideally suited for research, CRO, hospital, clinic, and e-health home monitoring of asthma, COPD, and post-COVID syndrome. The spirometry market is expected to grow by more than 160% over the next 6 years. A worldwide increase in ventilator sales during the COVID pandemic has seen annual sales increase by over 170%. Ventilators require frequent calibration to ensure accurate and precise ventilation. And the VentiTest and VentiTest software provides the most sensitive system to ensure accurate calibration, acting to reduce the incidence of ventilator-induced lung injury. We are continuing the clinical optimization of the VentiTest technology as a module for sale to all ventilator manufacturers and hospitals. The current e-health market is approximately $60 billion USD and is predicted to grow at 19.4% per annum to in excess of $200 billion USD over the next 6 years. Uscom devices are ideally suited to e-health applications and will interface with our evolving cloud-based Blue Sky e-health ecosystem to deliver the power of Uscom devices to remote health management. This advanced digital e-health system includes digital hardware, algorithms, and software that can interface with other proprietary systems. Brands define a company. They add value, power, and margin in the international marketplace. And Uscom brands are outstanding. They're recognised worldwide for a consistent, clean and pure theme that identifies Uscom products, Uscom technology, and Uscom culture. And it also complements our science. Recent and pending regulatory clearances in China, Europe, and US and Southeast Asia increase our market opportunity and will further boost regional sales. Regulatory approvals are becoming increasingly expensive and unpredictable, and therefore increasingly valuable. Uscom science is world-leading, and studies with the Uscom 1A have now been published in more than 600 peer-review manuscripts, with 56 published in FY22 alone, of which 25 were from China. In addition, 3 global practice guidelines recommend its use, and it is increasingly being adopted in multiple clinical disciplines, including ICU, sepsis, hypertension, pediatrics, and maternal health. It is because of this world-leading science that the Uscom 1A is a standard of care in many of the world's best hospitals and medical universities, and it is recognised for the excellence of the technology and the outcomes improvements it provides to patients. Our device has achieved what very few others have. It has changed clinical practice. Uscom is also a world-leading scientific innovator and has a constellation of patents, trademarks, and copyrights to protect the commercial priority of its ideas. This IP protects against copying, misrepresentation, and commercial IP theft, and is utilised strategically across all products and jurisdictions. This IP is principally an off-balance sheet global asset, yet is the valuable foundation for a new generation of Uscom products. The achievements of FY22 began with an in-house rights issue to shareholders, with 4.13 mil being raised from the board, the management, key shareholders. This was followed immediately by a small parcels consolidation, which tightened the register by 129 shareholders. We also submitted 3 new patents protecting the Venti test, thermometric BP monitoring, and spirosonometry, a new spirometric method. We also registered our Singapore regional HQ as Uscom SNG Pte Ltd. In FY22, Uscom's European operations were expanded with the appointment of new sales and marketing teams in Spain and France, and we restructured Budapest. We also appointed a new US East Coast distributor covering New York to Florida with an additional specialised 12-person sales team. We also submitted our FDA application for 3 digital spirometry products, plus apps and software, excuse me, which are all currently progressing through FDA review. In May FY22, Uscom partnered with Foxconn in one of the most significant events in the company's history. This is to outsource manufacturing that will allow Uscom to focus on product development, marketing, distribution, and commercial strategies. This partnership provides Uscom with cost-effective and excellent manufacturing, supply chain certainty, and compliance with the Made in China 25 regulations, as well as connecting us to distribution and capital. We finished the year with the appointment of an experienced regional Southeast Asian head of business development and sales to our Singapore HQ to charge Uscom revenue in the fastest growing economies in the world. All in all, it's been a busy and productive year. Medical device manufacturing is increasingly recognised as a specialty operation, and Foxconn is not an ordinary partner. Foxconn manufacture more than 40% of all precision electronics worldwide, employing 1.3 million people, with operations in more than 20 countries, with 12 centres in China alone. Foxconn has global partnerships with Apple, Amazon, Sony, Toshiba, Microsoft, Intel, Huawei, Xiaomi, Google, and now Uscom. Foxconn is expanding into advanced medical technology and has recognised the value in Uscom's portfolio of innovative products and broad IP. The Chinese domestically manufactured Uscom 1A is currently completing NMPA testing, while the Foxconn manufacturing facilities have already been completed and are ready to begin assembly early in 2023, immediately following NMPA approvals. China remains one of the largest and fastest economies in the world, with a special focus on advanced medical technology, and it accounts for approximately 50 to 75% of all Uscom sales. Uscom has been engaged with China since 2003 and has continued a long history of collaboration, adoption, and recognition of the significance of our devices in clinical practice. Again, excuse me. Uscom was recommended as the preferred method to treat severe COVID by the National Health and Medical Commission of China, and is recognised as a national high technology enterprise by the Ministry of Science and Technology. And we have more than 500 Uscom 1A units installed nationally. Uscom has planned for rapid growth as global economies rebound from the pandemic. This growth is planned on two incremental steps. Step one, to deliver our current devices in all current global markets, thus more than doubling current five years. New products can then be developed from our IP portfolio to maintain long-term growth. Geographically, Uscom's FY23 regional growth strategy is focused on centred on the expanding financial hub of Southeast Asia in Singapore. In China, the completion of Foxconn local manufacturing project is a priority target as we prepare new products for manufacture and grow the scale of our distribution. Completing our regulatory processes and expanding our new distribution model is our headline target in the US, while consolidating strategic partnerships to support the newly approved products. In Europe, growing regional distribution and sales is our unwavering objective. Uscom is a valuable medical technology company. We're fixed on the development of innovative products and global growth. Uscom has an established growth history, expanding global operational footprint, and with new products queuing up to be fed into an expanding global network of distribution. Uscom's value is the value of our clinical science, the depth of our IP and our product pipeline, and of course our global operations. Our IP combined with Foxconn's manufacturing skills creates a reliable, potent, rapid pathway for delivery of new products into an expanding global distribution. Uscom is a great company with great vision, technology and culture, and a great global opportunity. In a challenging macroeconomic environment, FY22 was a time of investment, planning and growth for Uscom. We've prepared new products, new manufacturing, new distribution, new IP and new sales strategies to align with an anticipated global rebound. We also completed a transformational partnership with the world's largest contract manufacturer. The company remains debt-free with resilient global revenues and poised for growth. It's currently also evaluating potential international strategic partnerships to further optimise shareholder value. So at the end of FY22, Uscom has never been in a better position. Uscom's business is a science, life and human health and well-being, and our interests include the environment and all life with which we share the planet. Uscom supports the great work of organisations working to ensure the survival of the world's wonderful plants and animals, and particularly recognises the great work of the Australian Wildlife Conservancy. Do presentation and up. The first question is, has the company heard from the FDA regarding the application? Has the company heard from the FDA regarding its application for regulatory approval for Spirosonic spirometer? Well, yes, the FDA process has been slow and COVID delays have been experienced, but we have received our first round of feedback and we are preparing responses as requested and anticipate this to proceed in a fairly straightforward manner. The second part of the question was, do Uscom products provide any assistance to patients with long COVID? The honest answer is we don't know. We do know that COVID is a persistent lung infection and can be complicated by pulmonary fibrosis. It experiences symptoms that may last up to at least 12 months. And what we also know is that Uscom devices accurately monitor small changes in lung function. So potentially, as we understand more about this complex disease and its long-term effects, certainly the Uscom 1A and the Spirosonic technologies will have some application if this evolves. The second part of this question is, when will we see an increase in international revenue, particularly in China? Well, Foxconn and increased distribution should start impacting revenues in Q1 and Q2. So, as we said through the presentation, we are looking forward to that impacting our revenues quite rapidly, and we are planning to ensure that that uptick is accelerated as quickly as we can. But certainly Q1 and Q2 is the planned time that we expect those revenues to start increasing and improving. The next lodged question is an interesting one. And it says, are there any concerns re IP protection given that Foxconn must have, by law, I believe, Communist Party members within its structure? And two, whether any members of Uscom's staff and or board are members of the Chinese Communist Party? I honestly don't know where to start with this question, but I think I can start to say that this is no longer the era of McCarthyism, and it's totally inappropriate for the board or management to request the bona fides or alliances of any member with a political party in any country. I think that's just totally inappropriate. I think what we can say is that Foxconn have an impeccable reputation. They're a Taiwanese company practicing in 30 countries around the world, and they manufacture for Apple. Apple will not tolerate any kind of intervention or loss of their IP. So I think we can sort of put that aside. Foxconn are specialised manufacturers, and they would certainly not be looking to acquire the Australian medical device company and risk their global reputation. Again, I can only say with regard to political alliances, our market includes something like 50 to 75% of sales from China. We've been in China since 2003. And we have a warm and prosperous relationship. We've got a great team of people in China, and we've got a great representative on the board, and we choose all of our people according to the contribution that they make to our company. And we are proud of everybody in our team. So thank you very much for that question. So that's the last of the formally lodged questions. Are there any further questions that anybody wishes to ask by raising your hand, or just general input? Susanna, are there any further questions from the floor or from
yes, Rob,
attendees?
we got 2 questions from our investors. The first one is from Tom. Despite the significant investment in IP, business development resources and manufacturing partnerships, this has not been translated to material revenue growth. It has also not been recognized in the market price of shares. What's the revenue outlook for 2023? And also you can release this to the market. When are we going to be cash flow positive? And are we again relying on another cap raise, or would you look to license IP to a major medical device company with global distribution capability? Yeah.
Listen, Tom, thanks for that. You want all the foresight that I can offer in the next 12 months. I guess one thing I can start with, and that's to say, remember, before the pandemic, we were intermittently cash flow positive. The pandemic has thrown a spanner into the works of all of that. What we have done, and I hope my presentation today explained that, is we have focused on what we can do while the pandemic has limited what we have been able to do. We have built with our IP. We've raised capital, and we are counting on increased revenue starting early in 2023. The exact timing of that is not predictable. We had predicted, of course, that the pandemic would be gone after 6 to 12 months. It's now 30 months at least. Nearly 36 months, and we are still being locked down. I'm in quarantine in Chengdu at the moment, and so it's influencing commercial practice. There are other things in the world that are also totally unpredictable and influencing commercial practice. If we look at this year alone, and no matter what kind of management, no matter what sort of insight you offered, nobody predicted Russia invading Ukraine. Nobody predicted the pandemic. Nobody, well, no, that's not true. Some people did predict a recession, but it was a post-pandemic recession. Having said that, for companies like ours, it's a very difficult environment to act defensively in. I think we've done remarkably well, and we are positioned really well. And that, I think, is all that you can do in this environment. I'm really optimistic about where we are. Our products, the Foxconn partnership, the manufacturing, the restructuring probably realize when you invest in sales and distribution, you don't put the money in and it suddenly returns to you next week. There is a long expanding the US and now expanding Southeast Asia. Now, all of those areas are now starting to optimistic. I feel very happy with where we are. I'm disappointed that the world has let us down. If the world had been in a better position, we would be an entirely different company. And I look forward to the world resolving its problems so that the potential of Uscom can convert to shareholder value. Any other questions, Susanna? Or first of all, Tom, did I answer all of your questions? I did cover the globe, so there should be nothing left outstanding. Let's move on to the other question. If there's anything outstanding, Tom, feel free to ask it up. Anything else, Susanna? Other questions?
Yes, Rob, we got another question from our boardroom. Uscom boardroom.
Yes, I got Mr. Palmer here. I have a question to ask Rob.
Yes.
Okay, well, great. Welcome, Greg.
When are you going to be allowed to escape quarantine?
That is the big question, Greg. Look, I think I'm doing an interview with the Trade and Investment Commissioner after this, and these are some of the issues we're going to be talking about. And I think the key question he's going to ask me is, what's the most important feature of management on an international business at this time? And I'm going to say resilience and adaptability. And I'll be saying it from my quarantine room because I think that's true. And I think that harks back to what the question was before. And that is, well, what's going to happen? Well, that depends on what happens. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in the world environment. We can manage our company as well as we can. We can position ourselves as well as we can. But at the end of the day, we really do depend on some global order. And I think as part of that global order, I'll be let out of quarantine. And I'm hoping I'll be out of quarantine on Friday night. But I've got to be very careful about where I travel, because everywhere I travel, I get re-quarantined. So it's a delicate negotiation. And once I'm finished in China, I'm looking forward to coming home for Christmas and catching up with some of our investors and certainly the Sydney team. You know, the China team are doing a fantastic job in this environment and have really well positioned us going forward. So it's an exciting time for the company, and it's a time when you have to be adaptable, and resilient. So I'm looking forward to some normality going forward. Thanks, Greg.
Okay. Well, thank you for your commitment. And yes, I look forward to hearing about your release.
Thanks, Greg. Me too.
Why is it doing far off?
Any further questions?
Yes, Rob, another question from Robert. Can you speak a little bit more on the new sales strategies? Obviously, the last few years have been difficult, but your devices should almost sell themselves.
My answer to that is if only. I think understanding what the hospital processes are, how purchasing cycles have been diminished, how health budgets have been totally redirected to building new hospitals and establishing new COVID dependent systems. Ironically, health has been hit hardest because people have shifted their spend and focus to COVID. Different countries have been hit more or less than others. I agree in the sense that I would be much more pleased if our sales were a lot higher, but I can tell you very few businesses do the product sell themselves, except perhaps if you're in resources or something like that. We're in a complex scientific domain, and it really does take education. We still are a long way ahead of most clinical environments. So one of the important parts of our growth is about education and training. And we can't get into hospitals because of COVID quarantining. There's just, the hospitals have closed down. They won't let people in. So our salespeople, as keen and as enthusiastic as they are not able to visit. They're not able to sell. We can maintain communications, but we can't visit. So there's a very good explanation. And look, to be realistic, if you look at our regional sales, Europe, US, and Southeast Asia varied only a small bit, even during the middle of this pandemic. We have a, if you look at our historical trends, there's a strong uptrend. If you look at the regions, the only area that had a difficulty in the last 12 months was China. And that was because the change in local manufacturing, which we knew about, but were not prepared for. And the second was the COVID, the lingering COVID restrictions within the country, which just limits us getting out and actually selling things. But we've already addressed that. We've responded, and we've responded by partnering with Foxconn. We could not do a better job. With regard to the COVID, no matter what kind of strength of management we show, we will not be able to lead that process. This is a natural political, social process that has its own time. And it seems objectively as if that is starting to unwind. But in the meantime, Foxconn is nearly completed. That is a monumental feat for a company like us. And, I think you forget we're setting up a global organisation with multiple products, an increasingly complex regulatory environment in the most difficult of times. So I understand investors' concerns and disappointment that we haven't returned, our traditional 24% per annum growth rate. But I can tell you it's not been for lack of trying. And the efforts that we've put in have not been wasted. We are well positioned. And as the theme of the presentation was, as we reach the end of financial year 2022, Uscom has never been in a better position. Are there any other questions, Susanna?
No, there's no more questions from our investors.
Okay, are there any just general observations, any sort of constructive or even negative comments? This is a great time for management and board to understand and appreciate what shareholders are thinking, although generally I keep a close contact with our shareholders, and the good news is that our shareholders are not shy about commenting on how to improve management. So I'm continually updated with what we should be doing. But if anybody has any additional ideas, I'm always open-minded and definitely responsive. Anybody else got anything, Susanna?
No, I can't see any questions or raised hands.
Well, if there are no further questions, I would like to thank everybody for their support and contributions throughout the year. We are a company going places, and it is the ideas, organisation, capital that ends up creating success. And it's easy to look at what we haven't done. Sometimes, if we look at what we have done, we can be very proud of the Uscom's achievements, not only for this year, but historically. And remember, we are saving people's lives every day. And that's a powerful role or function, if you like, and benefit. And it doesn't occur on our balance sheets. I look forward next year to things proceeding slightly differently, and the market recognising what a great company we are. So thank you very much for your attendance, and look forward to the year ahead. Thank you.